If you've been thinking about changing your life and you want to start implementing some daily habits that will help you with that, and they are different from the ones that we all know, like exercising, sleep, or eat healthy, this episode is for you because in this episode I will talk about some small habits that you can add to your daily life to improve the quality of your life. And before starting, I just want to give a disclaimer, which is don't try to implement all of these habits at once so you can avoid getting overwhelmed because change is not an overnight thing. And if you try to change all of the aspects of your life at once by trying to implement all of these habits right away, you risk quitting. So, the first habit that I want to talk about is to not put people on a pedestal because it is not healthy for you and for the person you are putting on a pedestal. Because when you start idolizing someone and seeing them as perfect, you start feeling insecure about yourself because in your head you're like, I am not as good as this person. This person doesn't do any wrong, which puts a lot of pressure on the other person to meet your ideal image that you have about them, and you don't get to know the real them. To the point, if this person makes a mistake, you get disappointed and shocked, and you start seeing that small mistake they did as big and unforgivable. And this is something that frequently happens with celebrities, where when they make a small mistake, their fans get shocked and disappointed, and that blind love they had for them turns into an intense hate that comes with entitlement, where they go after them by bullying these celebrities and tearing them into pieces because they're like, how dare you to break that image that I had of you? I did not expect you will do this. You are so horrible, etc., etc. And that can be psychologically damaging for both parties, where one party feels the need to meet the expectations of the person and look perfect all the time, which is exhausting for them because they feel like they are misunderstood and they're not seen for who they are, which makes them close themselves to protect themselves from judgment, and they walk on eggshells to not break the ideal image. And for the other party, they feel insecure about themselves and they start holding negative images and perception about themselves that will affect how they show up in their daily life, where they start adapting that victim mentality mindset of using their inadequacy, of not being like those perfect people, as an excuse to not do anything with their life because that self-pity and self-loathing is comfortable for them. And if you are someone who put other people on a pedestal, you need to reflect on the image you built about them in your head that was fed by your daydreaming and delusions, and realize that is not reality, and remove the rosy glasses you have and start seeing this person for who they really are. And try to remember that they are human beings too, who make mistakes, and them being good at one or two aspects of their life doesn't mean that the other aspects of their life are good and they don't have struggles. You only see what they shared with you. And the same thing goes for social media. Try to develop this habit of seeing these people you put on a pedestal and you think you know them and they are perfect human beings who cause no harm as regular people, and remember that you only have access to the part and the image they showed you. A lot of celebrities and influencers, they build a persona and portray an extreme version of themselves online that seems so perfect, so people will pay attention to them and admire them and want to be them. And maybe that is your case too, where you are putting someone on a pedestal to the point you want to be exactly like them in order to feel good about yourself. And this mindset stems from insecurity and low self-perception. That is why I advise you to reflect on the self-perception that you hold about yourself and try to prove these ideas wrong, and develop this habit of being comfortable in your own skin by becoming comfortable being your own company and doing things by yourself and having a life and pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Because when you are constantly focusing on what others are doing and achieving, and you know so much about their life, and you invest so much energy and time into knowing what is going on with their daily life, meanwhile you invest just a little time into yours. Of course, you're gonna start putting these people on a pedestal because you have no life and your free time is wasted in trying to know what is going on with everybody because you are scared to face your own life and insecurities. And if you want me to make a separated episode where I can talk about how to improve your self perception in detail, tell me in the comment section. The next habit is developing self compassion when you don't finish all the tasks you had to do and you shift your focus to things you've done so you can have that peace of mind and to keep going because we are human beings. We can't show up in the same energy level every single day, and sometimes things happen that can be outside of our control that disturb our routine or makes us not finish what we had to do. That's why it is so important to develop self-compassion, because if you are always harassing yourself and speaking negatively to yourself to keep yourself accountable, it won't work because you enter this cycle where you only focus on things you did not do and your brain starts coming up with more evidence to support that assumption, which makes you never feel satisfied with anything you do, and you develop this shame and negative self-perception that hold you back from advancing, and it robs you from having a peace of mind. That's why you start procrastinating because you're like, why trying and keep going when I can't finish my to-do list? That's why you have to develop this habit of prioritizing growth over perfection, and if you don't finish your to-do list, there is no need to call yourself stupid or dumb, because those negative affirmations that you think will hold you accountable and teach you to not be lazy the next time, they actually teach you to hate yourself, and they contribute to you having a lower self-esteem. And by the way, it is not easy to develop this habit. It will take some time because you won't be comfortable about being compassionate with yourself when you don't finish all your tasks and when you're not productive all the time, because we associate self-compassion with laziness and weakness. Being compassionate with yourself doesn't mean becoming lazy or constantly giving excuses to yourself to not work and just to rest all the time. It is not about that. Being compassionate with yourself is having some time to rest, because you know in order for your body and brain to work and be productive, you have to give it some time to rest so you can show up for the things that you have to do. And if you don't finish everything, you are compassionate with yourself in a sense. Instead of negatively judging yourself, you ask yourself, what mistake did I make that led me to not finish? Is it because I put too much on my plate? Or is it because that I don't time block each task? Or is it because I am tired and I don't give myself time to rest, which impacts my energy during the day? And the question that you will ask yourself will depend on the situation that you are in. And after identifying the problem, you will start looking for a solution without shame, and you will approach this process with more understanding and kindness. And when I developed this habit of being compassionate with myself when I don't finish what I had to do, my productivity got so much better because I give myself time to rest when I am tired and can't finish my tasks, because I'm like, it is better to stop now and rest and come back later to do the job correctly and have a better focus than trying to rush the work to not feel guilty about not finishing my to-do list and end up doing a poor job that I'm not gonna be happy with and get more tired, which will lead me to a burnout and a fatigue. The next habit is to not work on bed if you are someone who does that, because you start associating your bed with work, which will lead you to find a hard time relaxing on your bed because your brain is confused and doesn't know, is it time to relax or to work? That's why when you are on your bed to relax, you find it a hard time to detach yourself from work, and you feel guilty for not working and relaxing because you did not develop a boundary between them. Your bed should be left for rest and relaxing and sleep, and your work have to be done on a desk, so your brain will make the difference between them and stop associating your bed with work. And I know this sounds stupid and obvious, but there is some people who fall into the temptation of working on their bed when they are tired or when it is winter because it is comfortable and cozy, and they underestimate the importance of separating work from their bed. And I used to be one of those people who thought it was stupid to make a boundary between work and bed until I suffered the consequences of that decision, where I struggled to rest because I was just thinking about work and all the things that I could have been progressing on and working on instead of resting, which made it hard for me to energize and relax after a long day of working. But now, after making this simple change and introducing a clear boundary of leaving my bed for rest only, my brain started getting used to being comfortable with not working while being on bed. The next habit is to start asking for help and to not expect yourself to do everything on your own all the time, because it will lead to a burnout. Learn to ask other people for help, and I know this sounds so basic and so simple and so stupid, but it is something that a lot of us don't do when we are in situations where we need help. The last option we consider and opt for is asking for help, because we feel like we are the one who needs to solve our problems all the time, and we don't want to be a burden for others. And this is especially the case of people who are hyper independent, who see asking for help as a form of weakness or a burden to others, and they don't want to lose their independency because they want to have control and not be dependent on others, because maybe they had a past experience where someone used their help request against them, or maybe in their childhood they had this experience where they had to depend on themselves because they were disappointed by other people, and this made them shy away from asking for help. And also, there is another category of people who want to ask for help, but they are scared to ask because they are afraid that the other person will judge them or think it is stupid or refuse to help and decline their offer. But you can't predict someone's answer or reaction before asking them. Human beings are here to help each other to advance, and that is something that successful people do. They always ask for help and advice from their friends or peers to get clarity about something or solve a problem, because they know they can't improve without other people's help, and they don't want to waste their time trying to figure out something they're not knowledgeable about. Instead, they ask people who are good at it to give them an accurate information and widen their perspective and learn new things. And if you close yourself and you adopt that mindset of I will do everything on my own, and you refuse to ask for help or advice, you risk losing the chance of learning from other people's recommendations and advice that is based on their experience, that can help you win your time and make the situation less painful and stressful to deal with. And by the way, I want to clarify something, which is when I say ask people for help, I don't mean to have a relationship with them that is only based on asking them for help and not giving back to them. You take and you give in relationships in order to keep the balance and not get into problems where the other party feels used, because when they ask you for help, they don't find you. And when I started asking for help and stop using being an introvert as an excuse for not asking whenever I am in a situation where I need help and I can't do it on my own, my life got so much easier, because that anxiety that I had for not knowing what to do just went away, and I got an advice that helped me tackle the situation and deal with it by seeing it from a new perspective. And also, people don't bite when I ask for help, because I had those anxieties that the person will get annoyed at my request and I will burden them. But actually, people are very chill about it as long as it is something that is within their capacity, and also it is not so frequent. You don't ask them every single day or every single hour for help. And sometimes there is some people who will refuse because they are busy, and that is fine. It is not the end of the world if they refuse. And I used to take it personally at the beginning, but now I don't take it personally, because people forget that you ask them and they don't bring it up to humiliate you, unless if they are a mean person, and in that case, you have to leave them. And if you are someone who have an anxiety about asking people, I have a tip for you that worked for me to get over this fear, which is starting to ask people for small favors, so you can show to your brain and your nervous system, it is not scary and dangerous to ask people for help. The last habit is getting bored, where you put your phone down while doing some activities that you usually use your phone to make it less boring, like exercising, washing dishes, or going for a walk. Because nowadays we are so attached to our phone that we feel like we can't have fun and romanticize something without it. And we need it to make the experience better and not feel like something is missing. And we shy away from silence because it is uncomfortable. That's why a lot of people play music or podcasts in the background while exercising or walking because they can't bear the silence. And by the way, I don't say like to not play music or podcasts in the background at all. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you are constantly doing it, it's a lot for your brain because you don't give it time to relax from receiving information, and it becomes hard for your brain to create ideas and to reflect on them and get inspired or get clarity about something, because there is noise around you all the time and you have ideas that entered your consciousness and they are racing in your brain, which lead to a mental fatigue and incapability to relax because you are overstimulated. That's why sometimes you get overwhelmed by the amount of thoughts you have and you are confused because you don't know where did they come from. That's why put your devices for some time during the day, and trust me, you won't pass away if you exercise without your phone for once or twice a week. At the beginning, you will feel bored about it, but then you will get used to it because we are human beings and we have a great capacity to adapt to situations. And the same thing goes for walking. You can go around and look around and appreciate the view and romanticize it by listening to the natural sounds around you and paying attention to the details that you overlook every single day. And doing that, it is so calming for your nervous system and it gives you a peace of mind. And you can start doing this habit slowly by making a list of activities that you can do without your phone, and pick just one activity and start doing it without your phone for once or twice a week, and slowly start increasing the number. And when I started doing these habits, I noticed a huge impact on my focus and my well-being, because when I was constantly trying to fill the silence and not allow it, I was restless because my brain was racing all the time. And I felt like I was going to lose my mind and I wasn't able to work for more than 5 minutes. And at the beginning, when I started doing this habit, it was uncomfortable because I wasn't comfortable with the silence. But now I am so grateful that I developed this habit, because that content overload makes it hard for you to concentrate and fully appreciate good content because you're just passively listening to it. And during these moments of silence is where sometimes I get ideas and solutions to my problems. And I personally believe if I want to get inspired, I need to give my brain a break from listening to other people's opinions and reflect on what I've learned and form an opinion and give myself the space to look at things from a new perspective, or give my brain the space and the ability to entertain me during these moments of boredom by making jokes. I hope that this was helpful and it did inspire you to make some changes in your life, and I would love to know in the comments what is the first habit that you want to start with. And also, if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video. Bye!